Welcome all dear brothers and sisters here for PG Taaruf week day 1 afternoon session. We'll be going through a very interesting session today. That is reality versus expectation of a postgraduate student in general and in particular at IIU. So we have our beloved alumni, Dr. Muhammad Yusuf bin Muhammad. He has done his PhD from medical and allied health sciences, and he was one of the award recipient of best doctorate thesis, doctoral thesis that he has written, and he has diverse interest in the research. Some of the nice research interests are tissue engineering and spinal research. Apart from that, he has many papers which correlate science and the modern science and the Quran or the Islamic perspectives. So it will be a wonderful session. I welcome Dr. Muhammad Yusuf bin Muhammad on behalf of PGSS, CPS, and all dear participants. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yasir li amri wa hlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Respected Chairperson, Brother Imas, Professor Ida, the Dean of CPS, Sister Fariha, Sister Farita, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you listen to my voice clear? I can see Brother Rimas. Can you mix thumbs up? Yeah, Alhamdulillah. So Alhamdulillah, first of all, let us express our heartiest gratitude towards Allah the Almighty. Due to His will and permission, we are able to gather here, online, physical, and maybe spiritually. Because I was given the information, there are many, beside having online with me today, there are even students in the hall. I can see the hall there. And I would like to thank again for CPS for inviting me. This is the second time this year for giving Taaruf week for my colleague from coming from all kuliah, students, local and international students, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to give like 3 or 4 hours lecture. I'm just intended to give like maybe 1 hour and less, and maybe you can have like question and answer. If you have any questions to ask, we can share. So I'm not here to teach you. Some of you, mashallah, are very good, well advanced in knowledge and experience and etc. You are coming to improve yourself in the postgraduate study, and you can also share your experience. You can let us know what's your view and etc. So I'm asking the permission to share the screen. I'll share by myself. If you can see my slides, let me see. So, can you see my slide? Let me stop and share again. Let me share again. Okay. Yeah. Can you see my slide, Brother Rimas? Okay, good. MashaAllah. So, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, the topic given to me for this particular evening, and it's a bit tough to do, to give a lecture in the evening session, especially after having a good meal, mashallah, hopefully, the good meal in Gombak campus, and maybe in Kuantan campus, after you took your meal and having a session in the evening. So even I asked the organizer whether you have any classes or any session after this. They said this is going to be the last one. So definitely you might get tired. You want to know what I'm going to say. It might bore you. It might make you sleep. But I hope at least I try to give some insight for us that beneficial for me and for you. And it's always good for me to talk about my postgraduate studies so that I think it can benefit all of us, inshallah. So the topic given to me is expectation versus reality. Life as a postgraduate in IIUM. So let me start first. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, in 2016, the minister at that time, Datuk Sri Idris Yusof, said that at that time there were about 23,000 PhD students. Yeah, PhD students at that time, which is account about 0.007 of the population at that time. We have like 32.5 million, if not mistaken, Malaysian population. So during that time, they were telling us that by the time of 2023, we are going to have about 60,000 PhD holders. This is like they are talking about Malaysian local PhD holders. So because of that, the government give a lot of intensive, a lot of scholarship for the locals and etc. And a lot of what we call that as effort made by the government, even to attract more internationals to come, more international students to come to the whole university in Malaysia, especially in IUM and etc., so that they can able to pursue their studies. So they think that this is good, mashallah. So because of that, a lot of things happens, right? So based on the statistics, for example, this is the statistics that in one of the study, when they try to see the pattern of postgraduate students, masters and PhD. And I will, if I mention more on PhD, those who are doing masters don't feel bad, mashallah, because I need to, sometimes the data is not enough, not much for me to mention about masters, but inshallah, I will mention a few of them. But in alhamdulillah, for this particular research paper, we can see that the number of master students, for example, in the trend, the master students are a bit decreasing up to 2020, right? We can see the intake there. For example, of course, there are three here. We have like the enrollment, the graduates, and the number of intake. Definitely a lot of students are coming, but not many are going to graduate. The number of graduates are going to be declined. So we might think, what happened? You have a lot of people are entering, but at the end of the day, not many going to graduate, right? After the span of 3 or 4 or 5 years, if you are graduating on time, there are certain students are going to fulfill, certain students are going to drop out. So I couldn't get the data of dropout, but based on this data, we can see for PhD students, the numbers are increasing. This is up to the MCO time. Of course, during MCO, a lot of mode of studies has been changed to online, right? We are staying in our house with our family while doing our research. And some of the research couldn't be done in the house. So, of course, there are things, a challenge during that time. So we can see a lot of numbers in Malaysia and a lot of numbers involving our local and international students. Of course, I'm not going to mention about ranking because the ranking is a different game. There are a lot of criteria of telling about ranking, and I'm not going to mention what is our ranking, right? But in terms of theology, in terms of Islamic finance, mashallah, we are among the best of the best, inshallah. So because of this, we are seeing a lot of people are coming for masters and PhDs, and we thought, mashallah, doing postgraduate studies is very good. Like it's, it's like heaven. It's like you are going to pursue in one particular journey that it looks so enjoyable, right? That is why even in UIA, I was informed that we have like 248 students joining this Taaruf. Some of you are joining me live, by online, and some of you at Gombak. And I was informed that the highest number is coming from the IRK, is it? Last time we call it IRK, now it's AHAS, right? About 70 of you. And a lot of students are coming from different kuliah, from different institutions around IUM. So I personally welcome all of you, though I'm not part of the organizing committee, but I'm welcoming you for this postgraduate studies. So, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, so after you enter, maybe some of us, many of us enter, sometimes we have this expectation. We have a lot of expectation. Some of us might think that when you do a master's or PhD, number one is that now it's the time for me to rest, especially those who are in government sector, where you are doing, a lot of work, admin work, and etc. You got the hadiah latihan and persekutuan, you are taking leave, you thought that you are entering postgraduate studies, you can take leave, and your salary is still on, etc. You are coming, even for internationals, you are coming to this country, and etc. You think that, it's a time to relax. It's a time for me to enjoy, especially for the first semester, for the second semester, when you are still in the proposal time. So you think that, I can enjoy my life. You know, you're still thinking about topics, you still can have fun and etc. So you think that it's fun. It's fun to go to, to pursue your study, right? And some of us might think that you are start having, vision by the end of fourth year of your study or second or third year of your study, you are go to the stage of convocation, right? Convocation in Gombak, the massive convocation ceremony that you are going to give the victory speech, right? More people are looking at you, a lot of dignitaries, people are on the stage looking at you, and you are giving one of the best speech in the world, for example. And you feel proud. You feel all the people are looking at you. Now you have succeeded your journey. Some of us might think like this. Some of us might think that when you are pursuing your studies, especially for PhD, now you are mastering your field. You know everything now, especially in your field, and you wanted an honor for the people. So when people are looking at you, they will look the title doctor in front of you, either doctor, IR, doctor, etc., all of the titles, and you demand an honor. So people will look, high upon you. You are now somebody. After coming to the hardness of journey, at the end of the day, you wanted, a lot of people are going to respect you. So this is what we're going to expect. And finally, maybe some of us think that when you do postgraduate studies, you are going to become rich, right? Maybe because of the title and etc. You get a lot of projects, a lot of business projects and etc. People will come to you, offering you some projects, and you can make products, you can commercialize your products, and you can make a lot of money. So these are some of the things that we're going to expect. Is it true? Is it wrong? No, I'm not going to say all those things. But these are some of the expectations. We have other expectations as well. But sometimes those people embarking in this study, they have this kind of expectation. But in reality, ladies and gentlemen, there are many things when we mention about postgraduate study, right? Number one, we do find a lot of stories. I think in this recent MCO, this is one of the lecturer in one of the public university that he went for PhD studies, and it's a bit tough for him because he got children to take care of and not enough financial support. So he need to take delivery service. Though he able later on to produce a thesis, a specific thesis on probiotics, So when you meet any, like for us, sometimes when people ask us, you do postgraduate study, did you write your thesis? Maybe not yet, maybe in the second chapter, maybe on draft, maybe proposal. But this guy able to produce thesis while doing, not while doing, I mean, he's a food deliverer, but at the same time, he has his own thesis, done his PhD. So it shows to us, in reality, it is not that easy. Just because you possess your thesis, you've completed your study, doesn't mean that life changed instantaneously. It is more than that, right? Second, I was reading few of the confessions. For those who know about the confessions, right? IUM confessions, mostly in Malay, whereby students are suffering from mental depression while doing this. So doing PhD, not always laughing and laughing. If you laugh a bit, it's fine, but you laugh every time, then people start doubting about your own mental, right? Because you are going to read a lot of papers. You're going to write thousands times, maybe, correcting your own thesis again and again. You are bringing your laptop everywhere. You're sometimes going to have a lot of challenges. And when people surround you, doesn't really understand you, it can lead to depression, right? And even we can find a lot of fake doctors. A lot of people are claiming to have PhD or masters, but at the end of the day, it's a fake doctor. It happened, for example, in one of the report mentioned that if you pay 8,000 ringgit, you can get your PhD. It's been done, especially for those who are giving the honorary PhDs, that you can buy, you can get the title. So in the reality of the world, we can find these sort of things. It happens, right? It happens. Or even there are cases now, even I think the cases are ongoing, claiming that one of the students claimed that his research been stolen by the institution, right? So these occurrences are happening in reality. In reality, it is not as seems that easy for us. There's so many things happens while you're doing this. Why? Because, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, postgraduate studies is a journey. Either doing masters or PhD, it is a journey. It's a journey that the duration depends on a person. Some of us might require 2 years done for your masters. Maybe some of us might require only 1 year, but some of us might require up to 5 years. So when you have a very long journey or a very short journey, in the pathway, you are going to meet so many things. Number one, the pathway itself is not straight. It can be curved around. It can be sometimes you are in up position. You feel very, fantastic. You got the results that you want. You can publish, you go to conferences, you win a lot of awards. But sometimes we come down, especially after you got the first comment when you give your draft to your supervisor. Or maybe after your YY session, after you being grilled and drilled and up and down, cook well, you come up from the YY, fortunate enough to pass, but it gives you like 6 months correction, for example. For those who are involving in lab, this is going to be difficult. When you finish your lab work, like myself from science, we are like, we don't want to enter the lab, we want to take a rest. So in this journey, a lot of things happens. But ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, if we want to reflect ourselves, not only on postgraduate studies, our own life in this particular world, it itself is a journey. None of us here online and those people in Gombak, we are going to remain here within 100 years. Inshallah, unless you have a very long life. Okay, let us extend to another 100 years. So 200 years. I don't think we can have after 200 years a session like this with me. Right? Definitely at one point of time, we are going to die. Quran mentioned Ali Imran, chapter number 3, verse number 185. Kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut. That definitely we're going to die. So in a particular journey that we are going to have an end, right? And this journey, we have another journey that is going to be infinite, to be forever. So when in a journey, when you go for a journey, especially in our life journey, there are things that very mesmerize. There are things that very bad. Like for example, let us put ourselves in a moving train. Let's say one day we woke up, tomorrow we woke up after coming to the Taaruf session, you woke up, suddenly you were inside a moving train. You know, nothing happened, suddenly you're inside a moving train. Definitely the first question you will ask, why I'm here? Why am I here in this train, this moving train, right? Though the train's moving slowly or fastly and you have like a lot of wonderful landscape, it can mesmerize you at a certain point of juncture. And there are people coming for you, serving your lunch, dinner, and etc. You are enjoying so much of your food. But at the end of the day, you're going to ask, why am I here? Where is this train heading to? And where is going to stop? You're going to ask that, right? That is the journey of life. So, are you going to just enjoy your food without knowing what you are going to do later on? Where is the train going to stop? No, definitely you will do something about it. Your heart doesn't stop there. You're going to ask, why am I here? As a Muslim, we know that what is the purpose of ourselves, right? So coming back to this particular journey of postgraduate. So when you go to this particular journey, definitely you have a purpose. You have a challenge. You are going to see a lot of good things. At the same time, definitely you will find a lot of things that not really pleasant for you. So we need to know that in these 3 years is a memory of yourself. Each one of us, either you are master or PhD students, can write your own autobiography, though I didn't make mine. This is part of my sharing. But definitely of us, we are going to have our own story that to narrate to others. Now I'm here telling to you, later on, after 3 or 4 years, you have a better story than me. You have a better experience than me that you can share to others. So always bear in mind, this is a journey. Enjoy the moment, learn from mistakes, and get better experience. So I just let you know a little bit about myself, because I consider myself the breed of RUM. My undergraduates, my postgraduates, all are here, all over here. I did my master's in medical science, nuclear medicine, and then I did proceed in Kuliah of Allied Sciences for 5 years. So if you think that PhD 5 years is not long enough, it's long. I think it's about 3 times extension. A lot of things happens to me during that time, especially for the first year. When the first year you not really know. It's common, it's normal for the first year not really know what you're doing. It's a normal thing. Sometimes, because the way you pursue your master's or PhD, there are a few ways. Number one, you know, I always tell about this thing. There are 3 types of interests. Number one, you have no interest whatsoever, right? Which means you just embark in this particular study because of external pressure, and you are being given a topic, you take that topic. Second thing is that you have some interest, you already like the interest, you propose it and you want to do that study, right? The third one, you're not really sure whether is the topic good for me or not. Is this study feasible or not? This is like 50-50. You only develop it after you start it. But after you start, you find out either you like it so much or you don't like it at all. Right? So, of course, the first year, a lot of uncertainties. After that, you set up your ground, you move forward, and problems starts to come. So in my case, after the first 2 years, I didn't have enough progress, sufficient progress. My mother was having cancer, then she passed away. Please make dua for her. And after she passed away, before I get married, at that time, I strived so much in the lab and etc. Alhamdulillah, managed to win a few awards and get the best student for IUM. So I'm not going to tell in detail about myself, but just want to mention to you, this particular journey depends on people. Some of the internationals, when you come here, you have a different challenges. I'm going to mention after this as well. But just to mention to you that each one of us have our own study and our lot of issues, a lot of successful things going to happen, a lot of bad things going to happen. How do we preserve ourselves? How do we prepare ourselves? That's I'm going to share. I'm going to share few tips that I hope is beneficial for us. Number one, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. As I mentioned earlier, so you still remember about the train, right? The train thing that I mentioned just now. We always know, we need to always think about the purpose of life, right? So one of the fulfillment of the purpose of life is to have the right intention. Number one, it's very important for us to change from the expectation to become reality. Number one is that we should have the right intention. We know this famous hadith. And of course, I'm embarrassed to speak in front of the lot of IRQ students here, right? We know this hadith, clear cut. All actions are by intention, and each man will have what he intended. In whatever we do in this world, when we do it to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by doing whatever he asks us to do, and forbid ourselves whatever haram things, we are considered as ibadah. This is considered as ibadah. We're not going to talk about specific ibadah, which has certain requirements, certain methodology, certain time, and etc. That is khusus. But anything that we do by the means to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to please God, that is considered as ibadah. So number one, that every day, every time, when we pursue in this journey, we always put ourselves, our trust to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because there's going to be a junction that no one is going to help you. There's going to be a junction that's very tough and very difficult. At that time, you raise your hands to ask Allah, inshallah, I will give you. Allah will give you in such a way that you do not ever think of. So number one is that we should always have the right intention, what we are going to do. Now, when I'm saying this, is it wrong for us to do PhD or masters for our worldly gains. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to do it because for your intellectual satisfaction, it's fine. For if you want to do because at least you want to have experience and gaining a lot of benefits, meeting a lot of people and etc. That is fine. So, but do it by putting Allah as the main reference. Or else we are going to have a lot of problems, especially when you are in a situation that only no one knows, only you. For example, you have the data, you are checking the data, you know this data is wrong, but now the deadline is near. You need to submit your thesis. So what you do with your data? Are you going to put false data? Your supervisor might not know, but what about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? What about the malaikah beside us? So when we have a good intention, the right intention, inshallah, whatever we do, whatever calamities comes to us, at least we are prepared. That's now tips number 1. Tips number 2, ladies and gentlemen, I think this is one of the important, really, really important that I need to stress that. Anticipate challenges. Right. For example, you are in a journey just now. You know, definitely when you go for a journey, there's going to be a simple thorn that might, stick on you. Or it's going to be a building blocks that block the roads. So what you're going to do? Are you going to lift the stone and remove it? Are you going to have another way? Are you going to consult others? Definitely, because in a journey, sometimes you are alone. Sometimes others are following you. Right? So anticipate challenges. What are the challenges? Number 1, ladies and gentlemen, financial. Financial is important, especially for those who are coming from from the international students are coming to Malaysia. It's not easy for them. I know because I do have a lot of international friends. My friend, inshallah, it's not easy for them as well. We thought that they are coming with money and etc., but not always the time. Not always like that. Sometimes it's difficult for them. Even for our local students, it's difficult, especially after MCO. Not many are going to pursue masters and PhDs. You need to think of what is the really purpose of me doing this PhD and masters. Are they going to add up more benefits for my own career and etc.? So a lot of consideration is there. Sometimes your own institution asks you to pursue your master's or PhD. It is fine, but as mentioned earlier, put it for the sake of Allah. But at the same time, you need to really manage your financial. Because if without financial, it's very difficult. How are you going to sustain your wife or wives, for example? Maybe some of you have more than one wife. Okay, fine. Your children, right? Your family members. It's not easy. And when you do it, your master's or PhD, without any good financial, definitely you cannot complete your studies. Right? You cannot complete your studies. It's going to be a very challenge. Second, especially for those sometimes spend long hours in lab. I still remember during the last time, during my friend, he he came at night to do some lab works, and his children is crying, asking him to come back. In that situation, it's not easy. For those who are internationals, you are calling your children thousand kilometers away, and you are in your lab doing your work day and night and etc. We ask Allah to give us ajr because we do it for ourselves, our own family, etc. But at the same time, you must anticipate there are conflicts. For example, especially for locals, you have wedding, Sometimes you have wedding, you have funeral, you have a lot of things coming on. And at the same time, you need to write your thesis, you need to do your lab work, especially for those who are involved in lab works. Like myself last time, I did on cell culture. You need to love your cell as if you're loving your wife, You take care of the media and etc. If it is got contaminated, then the whole study for 3 or 4 weeks done. Right? You need to repeat again and again. But here the challenges is that when you are getting married, your spouse need to understand you. Right? Your children, you need to spend time with them. But at the same time, you must have a specific time really to focus on your studies. Some people are multitasking, like they are having like 8 hands. Right? For the mothers who are cooking, 2 hands, another 2 hands are writing, another 2 hands are cleaning. Right? But some of us are not multitasking. We are just focused on one thing. So because of that, sometimes conflict happens. So if you don't have support from your spouse, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. And sometimes it can lead to divorce. There are cases, my friends told me, because misunderstanding of family, you become very depressed, you go to labs, instruments got damaged, not getting the results you want. You bring whole problem in the lab to your home, and you start quarreling with your wife, you start quarreling with your husband, you start beating your children. It's not going to help you. It's not going to help you. Next is that fighting. It's funny. It's not like you're going to fight like this in the picture. But if you are working in a team, if you are working in a team, especially a supervisor as a big grunt, you have a lot of students working together. And you must know the authority or the seniority. Sometimes we need to appreciate that. Although seniors doesn't mean more intelligent, but sometimes we respect people. But it's not that easy. Sometimes you might have conflict. Even it happens to me, my first 2 years not really fun for me because I did have some problems and issues. I didn't go to lab so much because I was taking care of my mother. So sometimes what happened, the colleagues feel that I didn't contribute much. So they start having like this feeling towards me. And I also, when I go to the lab, I can't see them because I feel very bad. So when you have the bad atmosphere and you are fighting each other, this is going to be a huge challenge. Because there are some person, they don't care at all what people are going to see. But there are some person, we call it hati koyak in Malay, hati koyak, which means that you can't say anything to them. They will, break, will tear off their heart. And when you do not have the heart to that particular location, what are you going to do? Like during my time, I have, alhamdulillah, in UAE, I almost use all of the kuliah for my, to mobile myself. Even in Gombak, I went to kuliah of engineering to do the FPSCM. In Kuantan, almost all of the kuliah I went to do my work. Sometimes we need to change ourselves. Either we change the environment, we couldn't, then we change ourselves. So having a good connection with your friends is very, very important. Or challenges between interdepartments. You are especially for those under postgraduates, you are going to meet your finance, you're going to pay your fees, you are going to meet CPS members, right? So definitely you need to have some adab to talk to each other, right? Anticipate problems will happen in that way. And about your own research, my dear brothers and sisters. Sometimes on the first year, you are like very enjoy, no topic whatsoever. You can go watch movies, you can enjoy your friend. It's okay the first semester, the proposal defense, maybe at the end of the semester. And by the second year, by the third year, by the final year, you have nothing to show. Then you are going to have problem. When we do research, especially for those involved in lab, because I'm coming from science, I'm going to mention a little bit about lab. Not everything that's going to follow our way. There are certain, for example, in your first semester, you want to make up a methodology. What you're going to do? You're going to research a lot of things happens in the world. What methodology they use for a particular research. Now, some of the methodology are high impact. Some of the methodology may be less impact. You need to ask yourself whether it's feasible or not. Whether the methodology is feasible, whether it can be done in your university, whether your supervisor is having expertise, or whether your co-supervisor having the expertise. Sometimes we are, they say that curiosity can kill the cat. Right? Of course, it's good to be curious. It's good, but at the end of the day, you ask your own capacity. You ask whether you are able or not. Too ambitious can kill you. And too lenient, you're not going to learn much. So definitely, you need to know your position. You need to have a progress in your study. You need to really plan yourself. You mentioned about it later on. So sometimes challenges happen during the thing that you are going to extend your studies. There's nothing wrong to extend your studies. There's nothing wrong with that. The only wrong thing is that without any progress. Right? But of course, you need to anticipate a lot of challenges happens. And usually, from what I know of, CPS, Gombak, and etc., they will facilitate you if you have a good reason for that. Right? They will have a good reason for that. And ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, PhD or masters, in whatever challenge you have, definitely will have some impact to your social life, to your love life. I know somebody not to get married unless he's finished PhD or masters. Sometimes when they start PhD or masters, they're just getting married. So after they finish their PhD, they might have 4 or 5 children, because of the tenants and etc. You need someone to really help you mentally, physically. It definitely will impact you. Definitely will impact you. But bear in mind, what I'm saying here, I'm not going to demotivate you, no. What I'm going to share is that anticipate challenges. Be prepared. Fight for it. When you have problems, when you have issues, confront. Let's say you have issues with certain people, etc. Confront in a better way. If you know that confrontation will make it worse, then do other ways. Seek consultation. Seek how to solve the problem. Don't just leave the way. Let's say you try so many things in your life, still you cannot succeed in the journey. Then have a good perception towards Allah that this journey might not for you. This journey might not for you. Maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give you the chance to start this journey, but at the end of the day, you have another journey which is better for you. So we never know. What we know that we embark in a journey, we try to anticipate the challenge, we try to overcome the challenge, and we put the trust to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Now, I just want to share this to my dear friends, the international students. This is a study been done by the African students, especially in IUM. I think this is a good study, not only for the internationals, even for the locals, even for the CPS, even for the IUM community as a whole. I know it's very difficult, especially for those international students, It's not only for them. It's even for students, Malaysian students, local students going abroad, they're going to have problems. This study been done, stated that it is tough in terms of financial, in terms of social, in terms of cultural adjustment, in terms of separation from families, and even the stereotyping. So we need to learn, we need to really take a lesson from this. What is our role? As for example, those people are, we are receiving the international students. So what is our view as a Muslim? We view it as a guest. Definitely, we need to treat them well. We need to, like what happened in the time of Prophet Muhammad SAW. How do the Prophet treat the Ansar and Muhajirin? So as a Muslim, when we see strangers coming to our universities, for example, they learn, they embark in the study, enroll, we need to give them the rights as a Muslim, not stereotyping them. Imagine in a situation when we are being treated like that in a other country. We don't want to be like that, right? We want to be in a good form. But having said that, the international students as well, they need to really adjust themselves. Because when you are coming to a particular country, why don't you learn the language? Sometimes you become like, I don't want to learn the language. I know very good internationals, mashallah, they speak very well Malay. Take this opportunity. Take this, because in every race, in every tribe, every Muslim community, there are good things that we can learn. So we come to a particular country, we take these good things. Ya ayuhan nas. You know the verse in the Quran mentioned. Taaruf, right? Chapter 49, verse number 10. We don't want to each other. Inna akramakum innallahi ataqakum. The best among us is the piousness. It is not about color. It is not about skin. It is not about either you are coming from a rich or pauper. It is about ukhuwatul Islamiyah. I used to have a lot of international friends before, mashallah. I know when we shifted from Gombak to Kuantan, because I was in Gombak last time during my undergraduate, we came to Kuantan. It's difficult life for them, especially about the food at the time, because in Kuantan last time, we are not like heavens like Gombak, You can go to Mahala Bilal, Mahala Ali, you can eat your kebabs and everything. Here, sometimes they need to cook themselves, And I was like, going around with them and eat with them. It's difficult for them. I know my international friends, sometimes they are fasting almost every day here. But now, alhamdulillah, Kuantan has changed. Kuantan has changed so much. So what my point is that either you are local, either you are internationals. We don't separate ourselves because of our skin color, because of our own, religious background. We are equal in the sight of Allah. Only Allah can differentiate us. We should respect each other, treat us well, and we're going to learn much. So I'm not blaming anyone here. I'm just telling you as a general. Even not only for students, even for admins, the CPS, I know them, mashallah, they are very helpful to me last time. So even the CPS, even the IM community, we really need to shrink the gap. But it requires really a determination and effort. We know where's our limit, we know where we can help each other. But to cause a zalim to other people, subhanAllah, ladies and gentlemen, in the day of judgment, when you have zalim, to do cruelty to others, few things are going to happen to you. Number one, either your good deeds going to be taken from you, regardless how much salah you read, how many rak'ah, how many prayers, how much fasting, and etc. All of that will be taken accordingly and give to that person that you did wrong things to him or her. The second part is that, which is very bad. If you have nothing, you become muflis. The sins of that person going to you. So we don't want this. We are not a pious person. We have a lot of sin. We ask forgiveness for Allah. But at the same time, we don't do zalim to other people. So be careful, my dear brothers and sisters. I just mentioned this as part of the challenge. And the third thing is that having a real good relationship with your supervisor. I'm not saying this that you're going to get married with your supervisor, although there are cases about this, right? But what I'm going to say is that if your supervisor, you don't have a good relationship with your supervisor, then you are going to have a problem. During my time, alhamdulillah, my supervisor, she helped me so much. She helped me so much, giving me motivation, always guide me. Because there are many types of supervisors. There are supervisors that only know how to instruct without giving any help. There are supervisors are really interfering your work as if you are not doing anything. So you need to know your supervisors. You need to know that as a student, sometimes supervisors are very busy because they are not only have teaching. During my time, when I was a student, I was thinking that, I can come to my supervisor's room at any time, knock his door or her door at a time and ask for supervision. It's not like that. Some of the supervisors have their teaching, have their research, have marking, have exams, consultancy, networking. A lot of things happens. So you need to discuss with your supervisor what your supervisor's preference. Some of them, you can even WhatsApp them anytime. But they reply according to their own time. It's fine. But some of the supervisors, if you WhatsApp them at night and they are like, their wife looking at their phone and you are female students, then it's going to be a problem. Right? Yeah. And some supervisors, they are really good. They are really following all documentation. Some of them just leave you away. So you really need to know your supervisors, which means that have a good relationship with them. Sometimes you have problem with your supervisor, then you need to know what's the proper channel of solving that problem. Right? Next, tips number 4, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters. I always have this concept that, in this journey, sometimes there are things that, of course, there are a lot of problems. And if we are able to help others, try to help others. Now, when I'm saying helping others, does not mean that you are writing thesis for others. That's not considered as help, okay? You are, using like a backdoor to against the policy. No. Helping others, sometimes, some people are asking you for a certain favor that does not violate the law and etc. You help them. Because when we help others, we put our interest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, definitely we can get the help in other way. As mentioned in one particular hadith, we know this hadith. Man nafasa an mu'min kurbata min kurabid dunya, nafasallahu anhu kurbata min kurabi yawmin qiyamah wal akhirah. Yawmin qiyamah. Wa man yassara ala mu'sirin, fasallahu alayhi fi dunya wal akhirah. Wallahu fil awni al-abdi ma kana al-abdu fi awni akhihi. That Allah will help His servants as long as the servant help others. Of course, when we do lab work or we do research, sometimes we are very busy, and we are working in a team. Our juniors ask us so many questions. We try to help the juniors and etc. But don't be arrogant. Don't be arrogant. Don't boast yourself in things that you know everything. So when you have this kind of mentality, that you try to ease others, inshallah, Allah will ease us. And similar goes to the admin, like the CPS, right? say, Alhamdulillah, during my time, CPS helped me so much. And CPS is helping a lot of the students. We try to accommodate students, help them, ease them. We are doing it not for that particular person. We are doing it because of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when we make ithar, we call it ithar, altruism. We try to volunteer ourselves, help others according to our own situation. Inshallah, Allah will help us. Allah will help us, right? And next, tips number 5, ladies and gentlemen, use this opportunity of journey to build up connections. You come to this particular university, you are meeting a lot of people, a lot of professionals, and etc. Build up connections. Study about them. You need to know, for example, in your particular study, you need to know who are the scholars in your studies. Build up connection with them. Who knows that, mashallah, after you complete your studies, you might get a job, you might get a good connection, you can pursue your postdoc, you can have a business, a lot of things can happen. Make up connections. And sometimes you need consultation. Ask for consultation. I mentioned in Surah Shura, chapter number 42, verse number 30, وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَى بَيْنَهُمْ. Ask for consultation. So when you build up connections, you're going to learn so many things. Let me give an example. When you go for conferencing, one good thing about postgrad is to go conference. Of course, those people are doing international conference and etc. You are thinking which resorts to go, which place to go, and etc. Which good food. It's fine. But when you're given an amanah to attend the conference, to gain knowledge, you must utilize it with amanah. That's the amanah given, especially doing the government's money, you're using the grant money, you need to fulfill. Not coming to the conference, just put the poster. Others people are putting their own poster, and their poster are looking at other people's poster without people there. Definitely you are going to share, have a good intention, learn from someone. Then you're going to become better. So sometimes when you present your work, your supervisor might miss it. Your co-supervisor might miss it. But other people are looking, they can see that. They can see that you actually have the idea, they can improve your work. So it really going to help you, right? So for example, you have competition. Now later on, I know CPS will organize 3-minute thesis. A lot of competition, like 3-minute thesis, following walls of lab. Try to join. That particular, it's not only build up connections, it gives you more skills that I'm going to mention later on. It's going to give you more skills of presentation. Imagine you are going to summarize your whole study in 3 minutes. How you are going to do that? Is that possible? Yes, it's possible. How you are going to do that? Right? And next is about this is a continuation of what I mentioned earlier. Diversify our knowledge. For those who are coming from science, you need to go to lab and etc., doing lab work, instrumentation and etc. Sometimes you don't care about what the university is doing or going on. A lot of talks, a lot of philosophy of science, etc. We cannot, for those who are doing, especially the science that involve lab work, sometimes we really need to know about how to interpret the data. It's not about only learning about SPSS, about certain statistics. It is fine, it is good, it's important. But at the same time, try to diversify our knowledge and our skills. Whatever programs that happening in the university, our university and others, try to join. Regardless how the speaker going to talk, maybe the speaker might make you sleep the whole day, but at the end of the day, gain the knowledge, take the skills. You might not know, sometimes you are specialized in one field, but when you are listening to others beyond your expertise, the way he explained can help you, especially when you want to justify your data later on. Because in discussion, in critical discussion, you really need to open up your mind. You need to have a good literature review. You will learn very well about your subject, but at the same time, open our mind. Inshallah, you are going to become a scholar. Not, of course, you are specialized in your own field, but at the end of the day, try to diversify our knowledge. Try to add more skills. Before this, you might not know how to speak in front. Doesn't mean that you speak at the back. I mean that you can speak in front. But the thing is that you might not know how the skills, how to improve. But when you join 3-minute thesis, You try to compress it in 3 minutes. Now you know, wow, this is the way. You go for exhibition and etc. Don't think that this is on the just a little, just a deviation from my study. No, it is part of your study. It helps you. But I'm not saying that you focus only on these things and you neglect your study. No, no. Focus on your study, but at the same time, diversify our knowledge in different fields, in different skills. Take opportunity. Whatever you have the time, you have the capability, grab it. Okay? And next, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, usually when you present your proposal, you are going to have Gantt chart, I was thinking, what is this Gantt chart before? Is it they put gun on the chart? But at the end of the day, we know that it's a planning. That particular planning is not only for decoration in your thesis or in your proposal. No. That planning is a proper planning of yourself. How are you going to embark in this journey? You are going for a vacation, you put itineraries, right? Day 1, day 2, day 3, which place you want to go, you make a full itinerary of it. You're going to spend money on it, right? This, you are going to spend your time, your life for a few years to complete the task, to get PhD or master's. Have a proper planning. Getting a plan 2 ways, Sometimes, like watching football, right? They are coach. You are having a lot of configuration, 4-4-3, 4-3-4, a lot of configuration. But if you don't play, there's no point. Or you play football, you play accordingly, never have any form at all. No, that's also going to jeopardize, right? Some people are going to get their, legs broken. At the end of the day, plan properly. Use your Gantt chart, discuss with your supervisor, anticipate your time. You know that there are semester's break, there are, research break. And when you are having breaks, release yourself. Release yourself. You have your family, have time with them. So when you are doing planning, sometimes things happen. That is fine. Try to adapt, which I'm going to mention after this. But proper planning is important, especially those internationals who are coming to Malaysia. You need to know how much money you have, how many years, what is the government policy, how many years you need to finish. You need to really discuss this with your supervisor. It's not like simple, you just come, just embark, just register, and I put trust in Allah. No, trust in Allah is after you plan. Before you plan and after you plan, you never lose hope to Allah. You have the trust, but you must have proper planning. As we know that in history, when Prophet ﷺ did Mi'raj, Prophet tied the burak. Did the burak going to run away if the Prophet not tie? No. Prophet still tie the burak to show to us we need a proper plan. We need to have the plan and we execute the plan. And ladies and gentlemen, this is important. When you do plan, as I mentioned earlier in the second tips, we need to adapt challenges. When you do kayaking, right, or you do something on the river, you're rowing your boat and etc., you saw a big stone in front of you. What you going to do? Are you going to say, I'm ambitious, I'm a fighter, you're going to hit yourself to the stone, you're going to die? Or what are you going to steer away accordingly to the stream, following the flow and bypass the stone? So sometimes it involves flexibility. It involves flexibility. For those who are involving in MCO recently, you know that the policy keep changing. The policy keep changing until sometimes we don't remember which policies. And we couldn't blame them because this is the first time hitting the country like this. The managements are in confused. Those who are making the policies are in confused. Students are in confused. So we try to adapt accordingly. We try to see that this challenge may have some wisdom behind it. So we change accordingly. We follow the flow as long as it doesn't make haram things. So because of that, we're going to succeed. Or else it's going to block us. So flexibility depends on the type of things that happen to you. Sometimes when you of course, I mentioned just now, there's a lecturer, he needs to work 6 to 8 hours per day in the morning, extend to 10 hours sometimes, go at night and writing your thesis, morning go work again, because no financial support. Before this, he was supported by the government. Then after a certain time, He need to stop that kind of scholarship. So he needs to be flexible. Okay. Next is that, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, as a student, always be aware with policies in the university and opportunities. We need to know what things happen around us. It's not like you enter to your office, if you have office or if you have a dedicated partition, etc. You go there, you don't know what happening to the world. For example, we are going to have elections for the Malaysians. We are going to have election, etc. You know things happening around you, and you know things happen in your university. And at least you need to know who is the dean of your kuliah. You are coming to a particular kuliah, you do not know the organization chart. It happens to our kuliah sometimes. Students, our kuliah, we have the physical rehab clinic, right? The dean goes to the clinic. And students say, Pak Cik nak apa? Pak Cik nak apa means, uncle, what you want? They do not know. That's the dean of the kuliah. At least you need to know. Appreciate people in your kuliah. No, to the extent that if you even know the cleaners in your kuliah, mashallah, that is fine, good enough. Every day you go and give salam. Afshu salama bainakum. Give salam. Get the hype of the environment among you. But know the policies, know the opportunities. I think there are a lot of scholarship for offering, but I'm not sure now. Last time there were some scholarship policies. Always know how to use, like students, you have the iMaklum and etc. We need to know these things. For example, you need extension. You need to know where's the date of extension. Don't like you just use your lab work, etc. You found out that your status on the net or online is, not in the study, or maybe you got terminated, etc. So what's the point? So know the policy, know the place, know the people, know where you are standing. It will really help you, and it will help you especially in your deadline. And this is a basic mission and vision of the university. Usually when we ask students, they do not know, right? I don't blame them, because we feel that this is not important, right? If it is coming from exam, yeah, definitely it will become important. But it's not going in the exam, you just gloss through, you just see, okay, vision and vision, nothing, right? So we know that we have the integration of Islamic reveal and human science. Whatever we do, we seek a pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to have the comprehensive balance. We have to have integration. We have to have the Islamization. A lot of things mentioned in the vision and mission. But even the CPS, they have their own CPS mission, that collaborate, that in line with whatever the university have. So you can claim this from CPS. If you see they are not following this, you can claim them. MashaAllah, they are helping us so much. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to proceed more. I think this is going to be the final tips. As I mentioned, in our study, in our journey, whatever comes to us, don't lose hope. Because there are in situations when you feel very bad, so bad that no one going to understand you. People going to blame you. But at the end of the day, there's a creator that you can put yourself to the creator, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Quran mentioned in Surah Zumar, chapter number 39, verse 53. Qul ya ibadiyalladhina asrafu ala anfusihim la taqnatu min rahmatillah. Inna Allah yaghfiru dhunuba jami'a. Innahu huwal ghafurur rahim. Say to my all servants who are transgressed themselves, do not despair in Allah. Don't lose hope in Allah. Allah will forgive all of your sin. He's the most merciful, the most compassionate. There are situations when you go to the lab, you have a bad experience. Instrumentation down. Deadline is very near. Extension going to stop. Financial going to terminate. You go back at home, seeing your wife, seeing your children, family, they are fighting each other. They were asking how many years you're going to finish this. You are become very depressed. No one going to understand you. But at the end of the day, you put your trust in Allah. What is life without God? Do we ask ourselves when we live in this world? Imagine a world without God. Some people might think that, God is nothing inside of me. But use your own mind. When we see the surrounding of us, how can we neglect God? Let me give a simple example for us to understand. Those who are coming here, listening to my lecture, you can see the beautiful slide, right? That not beautiful. Okay, of course, I can boost myself. So let's say, for example, you are coming for the next day, you're coming again for Taaruf, which I don't think you will come. So let's say you put, like you saw in the lecture hall, just one button, this pen on the laptop, you see the letter T, the whole slides. Definitely your mind will say, this is coming by coincidence. One particular pen hitting on the T button, you can see the whole T on the slides, right? So it's coincidence. But you come again after 2 days for another Taaruf week, which is not going to be held, and you saw a beautiful slide like this. Do you think that all of the pen comes together and start make up this? No, right? Definitely, there's going to be a creator of this slide. This is about slide. Our life is much more complicated, my dear brothers and sisters. Definitely, there must be a creator. Now, you might ask me, who is the creator of the creator? Yes, I know this question comes out. But the thing is, there must be a final creator. The one who gives the command so that the command can come. There must be a final creator. For example, let's say, if I want to give lecture today, in order for me to give lecture, I need to ask permission from Sister Fariha. And Sister Fariha said, no, I need to ask permission from Sister Farita. Sister Fariha said, no, I need to ask the permission from the Dean, which is the Ida. And the Dean said, no, I'm going to ask the permission from the Director. Imagine this goes to infinity without any final one who give command. Do you think we're going to have the lecture today? No. All of us are contingent beings. God is the necessary being. So there must be a creator. There must be a final creator. And this creator, all of us are going to go back and return to the creator. We are nothing. All of us are nothing. All of us today, either we are in this postgraduate journey or in any other journey, we are going to die. So ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, on the final note, for those who are seeking inspiration, I'm not boasting myself, na'uzubillah, I'm just telling this, but this is in English actually, the whole lecture of mine that I give the military speech, I think in 2017. You can find this video for those who are seeking for inspiration. I hope this video can help. I'm not going to play here because I don't open up here, but you can go gloss through in YouTube. At least if you want to find some inspiration. All of us have our own story. And ladies and gentlemen, let's say you're not succeeded in this journey. That is fine. Maybe Allah destined you to go inside this journey to learn something, but Allah destined is another way for you. Anyhow, don't ever lose hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Take this journey as part of your life as experience. Enjoy the moment, anticipate the challenge, try to overcome it, and don't ever lose hope in Allah. That's the tips that I'm going to share. I think my time is up. It's 3:40. Inshallah. Thank you very much. I just open up for question and answer. If any questions wants to ask, so I'll return back to Brother Rimas. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for wonderful talk sharing session, sir. I'm going to take the questions from offline and online group. Okay, there are no online questions.
I think I got some question here. If possible, I can answer directly, Brother Rimas.
Yeah.
Okay, there was a question asking about Salam Brother Yusuf. Do you know, you have any word to engineering master student who wants to enjoy their master journey, but at the same time offer the worried about job opportunities after they graduate from masters, for example, because of overqualified and no work experience? Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, this is a problem that we know of currently happening to our country, that especially for job, employment, and etc. I'm not in the capacity to answer this because this really you need an expert in that field, which means you need really to. I would suggest PGSS from each kuliah, especially in this case is from engineering. You ask somebody from experts coming to you and try to open up views, try to open up a different dimension, how to really open up new opportunities and etc. That is why I didn't mention any of my slides that you are doing PhD and masters for job, because it depends on which field you are doing. It depends on the opportunities that you have. But the basic idea is that you always do it for the sake of Allah, inshallah. Right? A second thing is that relating to this topic, one of the tips is diversify your knowledge and skills, because you might started to do masters in one field, but you might got the job in different field. That is fine. But the skills that you learn in masters, for example, the soft skill and etc., that will help you. That will help you. So I hope that answers the question, but I can't really give a very thorough answer because this is depend on the topic. Thank you very much, Sister No. Let me see if I have any questions. Pergi UAE naik Saga, Robert, is not a question. Okay, let me go down and see. Okay, I don't think any questions. But any questions if I miss or anything you want to ask, especially it's difficult for evening session, right?
Questions? Try to make the programs interactive. Later you will have many questions if you don't ask right questions now. Given like 10 commandments. This way, if I number out the things to work out, which are most prime that we need to start as a fresh, because you covered the whole spectrum of graduation, right?
I'm really sorry, brother. The sounds are cutting actually. I couldn't listen to the question. The sounds are cutting.
So Joseph, you want us to repeat the question?
Yeah. Maybe you need maybe someone need to repeat the question to me, yeah? Maybe someone need to repeat the questions because
I just repeat you have, mashallah, the wide spectrum of the graduation from start tips for the freshers from my question.
still breaking. I couldn't get the question. Maybe someone in the audience maybe can type it or tips for fresher means.
You have given a broad spectrum, like
Okay.
you have systematically given 10 points, which actually covers the entire journey of the postgraduate studies. Do you want to pick up some points, special points for the freshers from these 10 points?
Yeah, good, mashallah. Good, very good questions. Because I'm covering all, which is included the freshers. But number one is that if you have become a freshie, number one is that when you start your study, you really need to focus on your particular field that you want to do, right? Number one, find a good supervisor. Definitely, you need to identify what a good supervisor. And second, you need to have a good relationship with the supervisor. You know what are the limits. What's your limits of your supervisor? Your supervisor is different. Some of them are moody, some of them are very close, some of them are jovial mood, etc. Learn about your supervisors. How do you know about your supervisor? Try to search about students already graduated with that supervisor, right? Ask them what you do and don'ts and etc. Try to understand your supervisor. And then second part is that, as I mentioned, you need to really plan. You need to know the semesters, the policies, and third is going to pertaining to your own study. As I mentioned, you need to know your position. Are you really interested in what you're doing, or you're not sure? You're not really sure what you are doing, or you are actually at 50-50? You need to identify that. So based on that, you start off. And it is fine because sometimes people going to change their topics by the first year because they think that it's not really, they don't have any interest and etc. But my suggestion is that, especially for those doing research, you don't really think that as long as you do a proper methodology, you're doing it correctly, you don't really care about the results because positive and negative are still considered as results, right? If you're doing research, you want definitely to have a good results, positive results, then you are biased, definitely, right? Even in science, we have the journal of negative results, which means you're going to publish a negative result because it's going to help others later on. So integrity is very important, right? Integrity is very important. So if I become a freshie, what I'm going to do research and find a good connection. And since you are PGSS, all of you are new students, have some good program among you. During my time, PGSS in Kuantan, they have some programs. It's very good to get together. I know some of us are like bachelors, is fine. Maybe some of us get married, etc. Have some time together, chit chat. Invite few speakers in different field, and even in different kuliah or PGSS. Try to make up your own society because you require this to support yourself. You require this. Although some people might think that working alone is better. So when you are making connections, do you think that you're going to do it properly in one team? For example, let's say you want to write papers. You want to do, for the first year, it's good to have a review paper, right? You just want to review all the literature, make up one publication, for example. You know that if you are doing alone at home, you're going to sleep. You just open up the laptop, you just read one or two journals, then you start sleeping, right? So when you have your friends, maybe you can brainstorm. You're going to, brainstorm. But sometimes some people, when they are doing in work, they are not doing research literature review. They are gossiping about their husband and wife. They are gossiping about what things happen in their own family, right? So sometimes in that circumstances, it's not good to have in teamwork. So you really need to know yourself, your capacity, what are the challenges, and international students, you really need to really set up your foot properly. You need to solve a lot of problems, especially, you need to become, there are a lot of problems of financial, etc., meeting people, cultural. This needs some adjustment. Inshallah, with a good intention, with a good proper way, Allah will help us. Definitely going to have problems, but be anticipate. I hope, inshallah, all of us will succeed and we'll have a good journey in this PG, inshallah. I hope that answers the question. Yeah, any more questions?
Yes, sir. The second thing, you have talked in very elaborated manner about the anticipating the challenges, and you have listed out very comprehensively about the challenges like finance, family, funds, friends, research progress, and social. Can you just give some tips to mitigate them? Okay, anticipating is one way. How to just mitigate them and to keep them in control, the challenges that you have mentioned.
You mean how to solve the problem?
Yeah, how to address this, like mitigate, avoid these challenges popping up to a condition.
The way I approach is that there are certain problems you cannot avoid. Okay, it depends. For example, in my case, when I have issues with certain instrumentation in certain kuliah, I did my work there. Suddenly, the machine got broke down, so I need to have alternative. And this is my suggestion for students. Sometimes when you meet your supervisor, you don't bring problems always. You bring problems and solution. which means you study the solution, you tell your supervisor, okay, this is the option. So it's easier, you recommend the solution to your supervisor based on the available solutions that you have. Then your supervisor can guide you. It is better rather than come to your supervisor and always complain. So it doesn't look good. Okay. But the way you do it, not like you want to teach your supervisor, no. Sometimes supervisors have their own ego, right? They don't want to really engage with students. They don't want the students like know better than them. So there are certain psychological way, certain, the way you approach your supervisor to tell her or him that, okay, this is a solution. Is it okay for me to continue in this way? Something like that. So that is pertaining to instrumentation. But in terms of finance, it's very difficult because it depends on people, how you solve that. Because to find job, to become a freelance and etc., you need to really venture through how you're going to solve this. This is like, it's tough. It's tough for me even to answer that because it depends on the circumstances that you are facing off. In terms of skills, right? Sometimes you know that there are certain persons are very good, can help you in certain things, you try to ask. The only thing is that we need to, in this study, we need to humble ourselves. We need to humble ourselves. If we are making a lot of egos, we think that we know so much, then it's going to jeopardize us. Because the worst is that when you think you know something, actually you do not know. It's jahil murakkab, which means that we think that we know, but actually we do not know. And the worst thing is that we do not know, and we do not know that we do not know. Then it's going to be problematic, right? So to answer the specific cases, it depends on the case scenario. And the best way is that you confront your issues, you try to see what options available for you, feasible for you, you try your best. And in certain circumstances, if you can avoid it, it's going to be best, it's the best. But if you cannot avoid it, you need to face it. The last time I have issues with my lab work, my lab mates, I couldn't do the job here in my kuliah. I tried to go to other kuliahs and they're accommodating me there, right? So that's the way we try to evade the issue if it is possible. If it is not possible, then we try to reduce it. And at the end of the day, put our trust to Allah. Okay, there's a question. If we wish to present our paper in the overseas conference, do you advise us to do so in our early year or last year? I would recommend in the later year because when you are in later year, you have a lot of data. The data are much more quality, right? If you are really in the early year, it might be in the early part of your study. May not complete. So it depends. Let's say in your study, you have like 4 objectives, 3 objectives, right? So because when you go to international conference, but that international conference, I mean in overseas, right? So you are meeting a lot of people from different background and etc. A lot of scholars will come, right? But before that, you need to really choose a good conference, the conference that able to publish your proceeding in index journal, and even your paper going to be selected for index journal. Because sometimes there are conferences, they only publish your conference as a proceeding, right? As a proceeding. And some of the conferences, they publish your proceeding, they publish paper, but that paper not index. So you're not going to get credit as well. And especially for those using grant, the government grant, you need to go for oral presentation. You need to have that abstract to be indexed, right? So if you're not knowing this, then and you are in early phase of your study, better just to go to a local conference. It's fine, just to present. But towards the end, you have a lot of data, you get a lot of things that you want to discuss and etc. Then go for a bigger conference and go for more data, inshallah. So what about concept paper? Can we do it in our early year of study? I never did concept paper before, so I reserve my answer for that. I can't really answer about concept paper. I did my review paper, so I'm not really sure about concept paper. So I'm really sorry, can't answer that question. So doctor, have any tips on Malaysian part-time student PhD who's currently also working? I know some of my colleagues did that as well because, I did for 5 years and that's a full-time. So part-time, much more difficult, much more concentration needed. As I mentioned, the tips is number 1, planning. You must plan properly because you have a job, you have family and etc. When you have family, right? Your family have a lot of weddings, a lot of tunang, a lot of a lot of programs on weekend. So you need to plan, right? You need to plan. So sometimes you need to sacrifice your time a bit. especially when you are male, or this question coming from a male student, fine. For female, you have, sometimes become mother, or for the male become father. A lot of consideration is there, right? And what's the best time for you to write your thesis? Best time to do your analysis? Need a lot of determination. Number one is that seek for support, especially for your spouse, right? Seek support. Sometimes your spouse, your family do not know what you do, right? And it's not obligation for you to explain in detail, but at least you require some time to focus. Some people are very good in this. They have very dedicated time. The thing is, must be consistent. And when you are taking rest. For example, after you completed your first objective or second objective, you want to take some rest, few days. But don't take rest the whole semester. No, unless you have like medical emergencies. Like for me, I took for 1 year leave of absence to take care of my mother last time. So because of that, I did some review paper, but I couldn't publish at that time. But I still do papers. But I woke up at night, 2 or 3 o'clock, start reading and printing a lot of papers. So that's my journey at that time. I couldn't go to the lab because I was coming back to KL and to take care of my mother. So I planned to do more on writing. Later on, when I came back to the lab, I focused on finishing the lab work. So this is in terms of lab. For those involved in social studies, you're doing interview, etc., the transcription and etc. So you need to know when to transcribe your work, when you to meet people. And when you're dealing with people, it's difficult. Dealing with animals also difficult. But dealing with an animal is going to obey you. The only thing is the result sometimes not there. But dealing with people, you are meeting people at a certain time and the people not following promise and etc. You need to reshuffle your time and etc. It requires further, determination. So at the end of the day, planning is very important. I hope that answers the question, inshallah.
No more questions.
No more question?
Muhammad Yusuf bin Muhammad for a wonderful talk with a very systematic presentation. Basically, if we have noted down these 10 commandments properly formalized, actually, I was looking at it with the different questions and I find it very comprehensive and hope it will be more useful for you also, inshallah. With this note, I would like to thank the speaker, Dr. Muhammad Yusuf bin Muhammad, and the organizers, CPS, PGSS, and the participant here for the day.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I also like to thank you very much again for all members who are attending. May Allah bless all of us. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Just hold on a minute, sir. We would like to take a photo, the screenshot. So I request participants to open the camera and stay for a while.
Participants online, can you guys switch on your camera? Okay, while we wait for the others to switch on the camera. Waiting for the others to switch on the camera.
Waiting for the online guests to come.
Especially for Brother Muhammad Shahid, who keeps entertaining us with the pantun. Can you please switch on your camera? Saya ada take this. Okay, I think I can take the photo now. Now, 1, 2, 3. Oh, we have people still switching on the camera. One more time, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Those in Kuantan also, please don't forget your photos, Sister Camila. Okay. I see that Brother Adwa, you have 3. One last time, 1, 2, 3. Okay, done. Thank you very much.
So we have some important briefings tomorrow.